Okay, well, I'm going to get started with just a little bit of music here. A little theme going here.
Hoping for rain.
Wish we could be singing in the rain right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. And the sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love.
Okay, well, y'all guess what my name is this morning?
What in the world?
Okay, I was trying to find, I wanted to become the goddess of rain, but their outfits do me justice. So I thought I'd make my own rain. I wanted to do a rain dance, so we can get bring those clouds in. Maybe Jessica, who's on our call this morning, I can add this to our light display. So
You know why rain dances worked?
why?
Because they kept dancing until it rained.
Let's do it. I need to dance. All right. Anyway, welcome. I just, you can see I'm really grasping at straws here. Good morning to our Rotary Club of Healdsburg Sunrise, December 2nd. We're already in December, everybody. Archie has an inspiration, but his mute is not working, or he can't speak to us. So I will read it. It seems, here's what he has to say this morning. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love, and don't take yourself too seriously. Do I embody that comment? So, anyway, thank you, Archie. Archie, by the way, has set out on this lovely quest to create presents for people. And because we can't gather together in person, he has baked cookies, and he brought me some cookies, and he's suggested that we look at our social groups, our colors, and if we can't get together socially, take somebody some cookies or something nice for them. So thank you, Archie. This morning, let's see, we're going to introduce visiting Rotarians. So we have Bob Rogers, who's our guest speaker as well. Bob is from Sebastopol Rotary. And then we have guests. We have several guests this morning. If I can find them, this is challenging. Okay, Kat King is from the Noon Club, right, Kathy? Good morning. Kathy, I think, is here to be part of our Interact Club discussion. And then Nadya, President Nadya from our Interact Club. Nice to see you. And then Jessica Martin is here. Jessica is the artist who is working on the art installation, and she will be giving us a little update on that briefly this morning. Now, Charles Summer, is that also Chase? Chase Summer, good morning.
Yes, it is.
All right, I believe Chase will be stepping into Nadia's shoes, big shoes to fill for the Interact Club presidency. And let's see. Okay, I think that's all of our visitors. I do see our favorite Steve Rued has joined us. So I think that's it as far as visitors. And if I've missed anybody, please speak up.
Did you get Jessica?
Yes. Oh, Jessica. Yeah, I did. So, Dan, committee reports. Dan Erickson, our secretary, is going to update us on.
Thank you, President Nancy and fellow Rotarians. So we had a board meeting last Wednesday, and all the board members were present. We approved the board minutes and the treasurer's report. I want to take a moment to say that when the minutes are approved, they are posted to our website, so you're welcome to go look at that. Also, any member is welcome to attend the board meetings, so they happen the last Wednesday of the month. And just let us know, and we'll get you the Zoom login. We made a motion to pay all of our bills. We discussed the Interact Club and the passing of the gavel, which we'll hear more about today. We're still looking for a chair to run our fundraiser, the bike tour next year. So that's coming along. We're going to have a new scholarship this year for a fine arts. Terry Tremblay and his family, in honor of a deceased brother-in-law, are going to make a generous contribution to somebody that wants to study fine arts. There was a proposal brought by George Dutton to possibly have an international project called So Do Two.
See one, do one, teach one.
See one, do one, teach one. And were you going to say any more about that, Nancy, or?
Not today. We can talk.
So anyway, so we're taking a look at that. And then last but not least, the district gave us an additional $250 grant for COVID-related relief. And so we, as a board, decided to send that along with $250 from the club to the Healdsburg food pantry. And it was also matched by one of our generous board members. So that pretty much was it on the board meeting. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, yeah. So the total donation grew from $250 to $750, which was really lovely. So
yes, so that went to the food pantry.
Right.
Okay, before I give up the microphone here, does anybody know a Dr. Charles Green as a World War II veteran from the Pacific Theater? If you look on our website, he's listed as a Veterans Day speaker for our club. So somehow he was connected with our club on the internet as a Veterans Day speaker. So I'm not familiar with this gentleman. I was wondering if somebody else might have any knowledge of that. If you do, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much, President Nancy.
Thanks, Dan. Anybody have any questions about the board minutes? Not? Okay. You know, I'm thinking Nadya and Chase, do you guys have to, I know there's no in-person school, but do you have classes that start pretty soon? I'm thinking.
Our school starts at 8:30, so we still have some time.
Okay. So let's see. Well, why don't we go ahead and, Andy, do you want to move on with the Interact kids, and then we can do other stuff after that?
Sure. Sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
So I'd like to give everybody some background on the Interact Club first. The Interact Club was initially founded on November 5th, 1962, and it's intended for young people ages 12 to 18. There are approximately 10,700 clubs in 109 different countries with approximately 200,000 members. And The mission statement is to provide opportunity for young people to work together in a world fellowship dedicated to service and international understanding. The goals of Interact are to recognize and develop constructive leadership and personal integrity. And I'll have to say that President Nadya definitely already came equipped with those tools, the leadership and personal integrity. And with Interact, she just has to use them in a public setting. So President Nadya, very unique, is, as far as I've been involved with Interact, the first two-time president that we've ever had. She volunteered as a junior, which was the first surprise because we traditionally had seniors that were president of the Interact Club. But as a junior, Nadya was ready to do her thing and stepped forward. And President Nadya has always been a very prepared president. She came to every meeting with an agenda and a joke. And they were all clean jokes, so don't worry. But she put a lot of effort into having an organized meeting that got her fellow students involved. Lots of great projects while President Nadya was president. Some of the ones that stick out, the Foss Creek cleanup. The Foss Creek cleanup, President Nadya's junior year, was probably the best turnout that we've ever had from the Interact Club. If thinking back to the picture that we took, we had something, somewhere between 15 and 20 students out there, which oftentimes for the Foss Creek cleanup, we would get 3 or 4 or 5. So that was a really great turnout. The Interact Club also took charge of the Turkey Trot course monitors. Another big turnout. We had approximately 15 to 20 Interact students out there. And Reach for Home, that's been a project now for the last few years, but we had a good response her junior year. And then at the end of her junior year, the money that the club had raised during the year, can't forget the crab feed. The Interact Club usually provides assistance at the crab feed as well every year. And at the end of her year, which kind of ended abruptly because of the pandemic, but there were some funds in their coffers that they had raised, and they donated that money to the Thirst Project and to the Healdsburg Food Pantry. And probably President Nadya's biggest accomplishment, and I think she agrees with this from an Interact Club standpoint, is that she brought the club together at the start of this school year. I know I had mentioned to the club, at least to the board, that I wasn't sure if we were going to have Interact Club at all this year. But President Nadya, being the leader that she is, rallied the troops, got it organized on Zoom, and we're having an Interact Club this year. This year also, President Nadya got her board members together, and they had a planning meeting in the summertime without any advisors, which again is a sign of her leadership. So very grateful to the leadership, the effort, the hard work that President Nadya has put into the Interact Club. And now President Nadya is graduating early, and she's going on a semester-long course called the National Outdoor Leadership School. So want to wish her luck. And on behalf of the Rotary Club of Healdsburg and the Rotary Club of Healdsburg Sunrise, we say thank you. And I've emailed a gift certificate to REI because I figured President Nadya might need some bear repellent or some warm socks when she's out there in the wilds. And I think if I can invite President Nadya to say something, and then maybe also introduce the president that's going to replace her. President Nadya.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say that I think being an Interact Club president has really shaped me in a pretty short amount of time, and I think it's only having to get through these more difficult times, I guess. But I think this has only really been possible with my great team of officers, especially my vice president, who will now become the president of Interact Club this coming semester. So it's my pleasure to introduce Chase as the next Interact president. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadya.
Thank you very much, Nadya. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great year. But Andy, of course, just helps out a ton, and somebody has to recognize him.
Andy does a lot for our club and the Interact Club. It's amazing. Thank you for saying that, Chase. Chase, I hope that you, in your new role as president, will work with Andy to chair one of our meetings coming up in January or February.
Yeah, I can help out whenever.
Okay, we will turn the whole meeting over to you. So
Okay.
I think you have been involved in that in the past, right?
Yeah, I think I helped out with one last year.
Great. Well, Nadya, I know that you have been just an amazing example of leadership at Healdsburg High, and the kids are going to miss you. We're going to miss you. Nadya had been a Rotary Youth Exchange outbound student last year, and then, as you know, everything got blown up. So she has overcome some hurdles and has persevered. So thank you for all your service, Nadya. We want to keep in touch with you because I know you're destined for great things.
Thank you.
Are you going to become a winemaker? All right. Anything else on that? We will move along. I do have some pictures I can show later of the Interact Club putting together 85 bags for Reach for Home. Thank you to everybody who donated to that project. That was quite successful. So Doug, Kyle, Presence Project.
And I also share my screen.
Training, yes.
Let me get to where I want to go here. Okay, we have the Presence Project. The gifts have to be ready and delivered to the Boys and Girls Club on the 12th of December in the morning. That's when the families will pick them up at 1 o'clock. For your reminder, I've put up a list here of our 6 social groups and their family members. I hope that each group has procured some gifts on the list and that a member of each group has taken the lead to collect them. We're going to need to have some place where we can centrally receive all of the gifts so we can put them into 3 large bags that the Presence Project wants us to have to deliver them to the families on the 12th. So look at the groups here, and within each group, check with each member to be sure that everybody has got something to cover one of the gifts that the family members have requested or an alternative gift. The other thing I want to share with you is the instructions for turning in the gifts. Please wrap each gift and mark each wrap package by writing clearly the family number and the name of the recipient. For example, 101 Julie, I think we're family 507 and have 6 people in it. Assemble the gifts, get them wrapped, and then we're going to have to get them all in one place. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do much with this. I'm having foot surgery next Monday and will be off my feet for the next 3 weeks. So I'm hoping that somebody can contact me or Nancy and say that they would be willing to receive the gifts at their place of business or home and then make arrangements to get them transferred to the Boys and Girls Clubs, Boys and Girls Club. Are there any questions about this? I'll go off of screen share now.
Doug, Will Seppi here.
Am I on? Yeah.
Happy to have Custo be a point for dropping off gifts,
Oh, it's wonderful.
if that's helpful.
Okay. Did they bring him to the front or the back? Because sometimes you're closed.
Open Wednesday through Sunday, 8 in the morning until 1 p.m. and bring them to the front, and our staff will take care of it from there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And team members, maybe an email throughout the group or telephone calls to be sure that everything's covered and whatnot. And it'll be a great Christmas for Family 507. Thank you all for helping.
Thank you, Doug. I know our yellow team has pretty much put our gift list together, and hopefully the other colors will figure it out. I can help transport these gifts to the Boys and Girls Club on the 12th before 1 o'clock, because the families show up shortly thereafter. Thank you, everyone, for helping with this project. I know we do this every year, and it's always wonderful. So, Jessica Martin, why don't we have you do your presentation on the loop? I can't remember the name of it. Let me get my
illuminations.
Yes, I've got a cool little screen that I picked up from your. Let me just share my screen real fast. Do you have any visuals or?
No, I don't have any visuals, but I can always share them.
Let me go. I am so bad at this screen sharing thing here. Hang on one second. Let me find my Zoom. All right. Everybody is so patient with me with this screen sharing thing. Here we go. Am I sharing?
Yes, you're sharing.
So if you want to go ahead, I will stop sharing in a minute, but I just wanted to show this because it came off of your press release, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jess. Take it away.
Yeah, so I'm an artist and a curator. I've lived in Healdsburg for about 20 years now, and my mission has really been to promote the creative energies in our town and our county, and really use that to bring really meaningful connection to our town. And this project started out, I saw that the chamber didn't have enough time to apply for a $30,000 grant through Creative Sonoma. Creative Sonoma is kind of like the Arts Council for the county, only they're under the Economic Development Board for the county. And I applied for it and helped the chamber with that. And we got the grant, and I just started rolling from there. So I've been the lead for this project, and it's been a really wonderful way for me to get started on some projects I've wanted to do for many years for our town. So it started out with us saying, okay, so what are the immediate needs now? How can we use art to help with our immediate needs? The overarching theme has really been joy, wonder, meaningful connection through art. And I organized 8 20-foot murals to go on Plaza Street. Some of you, if you've been in town, may have seen those. So 20-foot murals by 10 different artists. Some of them collaborated with one another. And those all went over the orange barriers in town, and it's looking a lot better in town now. And then there was another element that was going to be some lighting, some light sculptures and light installations to go into town. And after some meetings with the Creative Leadership Committee and wonderful Will Seppi, who really saw the potential for that to expand, we were offered additional funding, and I really want to salute this amazing team of people for that, and for Will being the lead on that. This has been a pretty extraordinary opportunity to expand the lighting element for this project. So everything is going in this week. I have 12 artists that are very busy right now. They each have been assigned a different area of town. All of the lights go on this Friday. And so essentially what you'll be able to do is take a walking tour of the downtown. And the idea behind this is to allow as much foot traffic as possible to go around the business district downtown. So people, as they're going to look at all of the different light installations, they're going to all of the different businesses in town and all of the stores that are still here. I secured basically every single vacant space in town. And I have an artist that's doing a piece in each place. The most amazing part of this process for me is all of the yeses that I've received from the Parks and Recs and from the Chamber and from the city, from groups like you, from the Rotary, and from the artists. This is a pretty stellar lineup of artists. These people are based in Sonoma County or have really significant ties to Healdsburg. And they're usually doing huge projects right now, especially for lights and it being winter. And all of that was canceled. And so these artists were amazingly available to help do this. So there we have it. I've basically done, I think, about a year's worth of work in 3 weeks. It's been pretty amazing. And it wouldn't have been possible, I think, if it weren't in this kind of strange world we're in, where everyone's just really motivated to get everything done. So it's felt really good. The funds, I am getting some additional funds as well to create a large collaborative sculpture that's going to go right on the plaza. That was kind of the missing link that I wanted to develop. We have these artists creating projects, and then we also have these kind of light environments all throughout town that you'll be able to see. And for me, what was really important was this kind of collaborative element. And so we have a 10 by 20 foot long archway that's going to go right in the plaza. I'm meeting with Parks and Rec today. We're going to discuss the installation of that. And the idea behind that is thinking about what are our intentions for this new year. I think we're all ready to leave 2020 behind, but also consider the silver lining from this year as well. And so everyone will be able to go to stores around the plaza and pick up a free LED light. It's a LED candle, and you'll put them on these shelves. We have 7 shelves going all the way up to the top of this archway. And you'll be able to put your candle that will represent your wish and your intention for the new year. And over time, everyone will be creating this sculpture together. And then the other element of that as well is you'll get a pen and a card. And on that card, you'll be asked to write what your wish is anonymously. And we'll be posting those in shop windows all over town.
Oh, sounds all-inclusive and amazing. I need to move along with this, Jessica, but Jessica's going to get back to us to let us know how we can help. I know she needs some help technically turning on lights and things like that. So you're still in that stage of figuring that out. Is that correct, Jessica?
Yes, I have a few volunteers that are going to help. I also have a couple extra people I'm going to hire, and we're hanging some lights today. We'll be, once that archway is up, if any volunteers want to help hang the lights, we are going to put some lights on the archway too, if anyone wants to do that. I'm always happy to have some volunteers.
So this Friday, what time should we be there to watch all this happen?
Everything goes up as soon as it's nighttime, so around 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And then this will go through the month, so you don't have to just come on Friday. This will go through December, and most will continue all the way through January as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for all the work you do for us.
You're welcome. Bringing art to a time like this is pretty impressive. So thank you.
We need it.
Yes. So Jay, I know you wanted to spend a few minutes, we do need to, at about 7:43, we need to introduce our Bob Rogers, who's going to talk about polio.
Sure.
The eradication of.
Andy and I are on a small committee developing the program for SRAG. That's the Environmental Sustainability Group, Action Group for 5130. We're in the process of putting together our proposal. I have a pretty finished draft of that proposal that we'd like to see some critique of. So if you'd like to edit that, please let me know, and I'll send you a copy. The goal is for as many clubs as possible to develop some kind of a sustainability project with the idea that we'll celebrate those projects in April and Earth Day. At that point, we're going to encourage the district-wide to come up with a district project for the following Earth Day in 2022, at which point we will have a 10-year goal for District 5130. The energy in this group is really incredible. We've got a very nice plan. I think it'll be very engaging. The intention is for clubs to have at least one point person to organize their club. And our goal, our committee goal, is to supply that person with everything they need to actualize the project. So it's really gaining momentum. Everybody we've talked to has been a yes. At this point, some editing would be helpful, or just if you're interested in the project, let me know.
And you're going to send us the draft proposal, is that right?
I can do that as a blast, or that might be inappropriate. It may be better for people just to contact me and I'll send it off to them.
Okay.
Whatever you think is best.
This is Project J has been passionately behind. So, and Andy too. And hey, is there any update on the connection between the environmental studies and the high school? That may not be your.
There is. So they have been trying to contact people at the high school, and I think Principal Halliday and his staff are probably up to their ear holes right now. So that they have not been able to connect. But I have a call into Bill Halliday also, just to make sure that they receive it and it's there for them. But in light of everything that's going on with the challenges, I think their cup runneth over right now. But yes, they have reached out to the high school and they're trying to make contact with them.
Great, thank you. And is that it, Jay? Because I wanted to segue from.
Yes.
That. Okay, so I will look forward to reading the proposal and hopefully others will reach out to you. Thank you for all your work on this. Mark Bisignani has some information about choices.
Yes, hi. Yes, I have an update. The virtual choices program is more or less complete and ready. It's going to be available starting January. They're going to, you can operate this virtual choices program through 3 platforms: Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet. And they are going to be providing training sessions for this via Zoom. And they're offering 3 sessions in December, although they have not yet let us know which dates in December those training sessions will be available. And then 1 session a month in January, February, and March. This year, the Joyce's program will be just 1 day. It'll be a single 45-minute session rather than 2 consecutive days, which we have done in the past. In the past, we have done this during the phys ed classes, which we've always done it on a Thursday, but with school occurring virtually and all, I'm not sure how we would arrange that. So I just want to say we probably should get started on volunteers for this. They have been, basically we need 2 volunteers for each session. We'll be doing this for a 7th and 8th grade class this year. And generally there are seven periods generally. So at 2 people per period, that's 14 for each grade. So people could do a 7th grade and an 8th grade class. They don't have to be done the same time, or we could spread it out more if we had enough volunteers. And we also need someone to coordinate this. Basically, that would include communicating with the principal and with whatever teacher we would be, whose class we would be utilizing. So I think it's time to start soliciting volunteers and moving ahead with this for anyone who might be interested. I'm not going to really be able to head up the program, so I'm hoping that somebody might be able to head up the program. There are some materials involved with this as well. And Steve, I'm glad you're on the meeting today. Do you have those materials? I think you have them stored over in your winery somewhere. Is that right? Steve? Maybe Steve's not there right now, but there are some materials that go along with this as well. So,
hi, Mark.
Yeah,
I had myself muted by accident. I have most of the materials except for the ones that some people picked up last year.
Okay. So some of you have the materials on hand. So anyone who volunteered last year, if you're interested, let me know, and then I'll pass that along to whoever ends up taking over this program. If anybody's interested in taking it over, it should not be that much work. And if you're interested, let me or let Nancy know.
Wonderful. Mark has been diligently hanging in there with this project despite the ups and downs we've had. So thank you for keeping it alive. I think we'll be able to get the volunteers we need. So we will be back in touch with you on that. And I am going to have, at this moment, ask Edward to introduce Bob Rogers. I know Bob needs all the time he can grab this morning, and I'll have a couple announcements at the very end of Bob's presentation. So thanks, Mark. And Edward, are you ready to introduce our guest speaker, Bob Rogers?
Yes. Okay. Bob Rogers is a retired airline pilot from U.S. Airways, and he's a resident of Sebastopol, and he joined the Rotary Club of Sebastopol in 2007, right after he moved into the town, and he got interested in the polio program of Rotary since he is a polio survivor. And he gives talks throughout the districts in California on polio. He was Sebastopol's Rookie Rotarian of the Year and Rotarian of the Year subsequent years later. He served as president of his club, assistant governor, and as district governor in 2007 and 18. While district governor, he and 13 other bike riders created a 6-day, 350-mile bike ride called Pedal for Polio and raised $140,000 along the process. He's traveled to Mexico, Uganda for the Global Grant Project, for India and other countries. And as you can tell, he'll be talking about the polio program and Rotary's desire to eradicate this disease. And big welcome for Bob Rogers now.
Thank you, Edward. And thanks everybody for allowing me to give you an update on polio. But before I do, I want to show you a video of a recent NID, which stands for National Immunization Day. On one of those trips that Edward mentioned, I went to India in January and participated in that in New Delhi. And, you know, we as Rotarians see the advocate fundraising side of this battle, but we don't see the frontline workers, what they go through. And so this will give you a little bit of a feel for that. So just bear with me for a minute and I'll see if we can get this going. Can everybody see that okay?
You're sharing the whole screen, so the video is a little small right now.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought I did, but let me start over here.
While Bob's doing that, I invited him to be our speaker this month because this is Disease Prevention and Treatment Month for Rotary International. So it seemed appropriate. There you go.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Here we go. Can you hear the audio okay?
There you go. Sorry. Those ones are so hard. Actually, thank you.
My name is Brad Howard. I professionally am both a tour operator. We take people overseas for purpose, professional groups and associations, and I also have commercial real estate here in the East Bay. In Rotary, I have been involved with it for about 35 years and have been a governor, which is a regional responsibility, and then been a member of the board of directors of Rotary International, the international board. So polio was a disease that was a huge issue in the early 1950s. Towards the end of the 1950s, early 1960s, they found a vaccine. Well, about that time, Rotary, by accident, decided that it was a very localized effort in the Philippines that they could, if they had enough money, could buy enough vaccines to immunize all their kids. Well, they did it. And so Rotary as an organization said, wow, if all we need to do is get vaccines to kids, we could do that. And so since that time, we have been knocking off all these countries. 125 countries had polio when we started. Right now, it's down to 2. Pakistan and Afghanistan. But because Pakistan and Afghanistan have very limited healthcare systems and border controls, it isn't limited to those countries. People are traveling across borders between those two countries, and Pakistan's a neighbor with India. When we immunize a child during these national immunization days, we are trying to immunize every single child in that country that are 5 years and younger. And this is what we did on this recent trip. Over a 5-day period, they're trying to immunize more than 100 million children.
Okay, who's next? Oh, are you laughing at me? Are you laughing at me? Waving so. Okay. हाथ मिला रहा है।
Whenever you walk through these villages, there's a whole pack of kids that are following you. And some of them are in areas that basically they're dumps. I mean, literally are a dump. You're watching kids play with bicycle wheels that are broken. The thing that always strikes me is how happy they are. And it's those smiles and it's those interactions with those people, the people in need, that really, I think, drive emotion for a lot of people when they're in this environment, to say, I got to help them do something. And I think that's where Rotary's job becomes most important. The community in which we were in was called Mewat. And Mewat is a largely Muslim populated place, but very impoverished. In fact, the largest industry, if you will, is making fuel for fires so that they can cook and heat their house. And that fuel is quite literally made out of cow patties.
This is the kitchen. This is the kitchen? I was just told that. Yeah, that's where they build the fire, they cook over the fire, and this is the kitchen right here. The man just told me, the driver just told me.
There's what's called the caste system, and so there's this whole spectrum of haves and have-nots. There are those that are called the untouchables, and in society they really don't have a place. One of the parts of the polio eradication effort is one day you go from door to door looking for kids in each house to know that everyone's been immunized.
चले जाएंगे स्कूल गए बता छोटा ही पढ़ लो अरे छोटे छोटे से स्कूल भगा दिए क्या तो सो रहा है लेना है फिर ले लास्ट सो रहे हैं बेबी नाउ ये बता दिया here we go किधर Shoot, I missed it.
The ability to see what happens with polio comes in two parts. One, the emotion of, I'm going to stop this from happening to another kid. But the second part is helping those that didn't have the 2 drops and those people who now cannot walk. Well, there is a hospital in Delhi that many years ago, some of the Rotarians in the Bay Area came together and in concert and partnership with Rotarians in Delhi, helped fund a post-polio ward. A gentleman by the name of Dr. Matthews is the key surgeon that literally performs miracles on these people. These are people whose feet are sideways. They can only crawl on their hands and knees, and yet he's able to turn those lives into an upright life. There's a place in Jaipur called the Jaipur Foot Factory that is supported in part by Rotary and in part by others, that quite literally takes the PVC pipes that we all know that go in the ground, that carry sewage and water, and is able to turn them into a limb that can be put on a leg so that people quite literally can walk in day 1 and on day 2 be walking with a new prosthetic limb.
Your name is? Kushi.
Hello. May I can identify as you wish. See it. Then I can open the shop.
So this Rotary Club has been dedicated to help elevate the resources and training of the teachers. And to give you a picture of the school, they built a great building, small. There's 2 parts. One is for young children, and the other one is a vocational training school for the women of the village to learn how to sew and therefore be productive for themselves. But this school is quite literally in the middle of a pigsty, and no one wants to walk anywhere near where the pigs are hanging out. You can imagine if you're in a village that's called a slum, the effect of having 50 people from another country come into your presence, bring you stuff and resources, and buy your goods, how that inspires them that they are better than what they have.
1 2 3 4 हमारा नंबर है।
I really didn't know what to expect coming to India. My wife and I, are both Rotarians, and we came knowing that we were coming for a good cause. And we have definitely fulfilled our mission in that, and seeing lives changed, putting 2 drops of polio vaccination into a small child's mouth, knowing that that child will not suffer the consequences of a debilitating, deathly sickness called polio.
When I first did this trip, or contemplated doing it, I thought to myself, you know, is this really just a self-satisfying thing about going over here? Wouldn't that money that I spent on this coming over here be better spent if I were to donate it to the Polio Plus campaign? And the Rotarians here put it another way. They said that our coming here is inspiring to them, that we would do that.
I think every Rotarian should have an opportunity to give a child 2 magic drops, and to see the great work that's being done in this country to help not only prevent polio, but to help those that are still suffering from the effects. It would be very worthwhile to participate in.
Probably the most inspirational trip I've ever gone on, and I've traveled quite a bit. But this trip, you can't compare it to other trips, because you know you're doing something good, but at the same time, you're showing, you know, this is America, you're a foreigner, but we're all the same. We all have that feeling of we want to help each other.
I think that you can see a lot of really wonderful, lovely things amongst the dirty air and the dirty living conditions. And I spent a lot of time with kids and trying to communicate through language barriers. And there's love there. It's lovely.
Coming to India has just been an absolute blessing to see
the amount of work that goes into this national inoculation day. The entire country inoculates their children. It's amazing.
It's encouraging that even though we don't speak the language down here, everybody's been warm to us, receptive. So, it gives me encouragement when I go home that, we can use this as a model so that we're not divided. We can unite around a common purpose, which is to take care of people.
Well, when we started our effort, there were 350,000 new cases annually of polio. This past year, there was about 140 cases, and that's significant. But the real difference is, why are we here on Earth? What is our legacy? And watching people take these trips, I think, helps to define that. You can't help but feel, for just random luck, I was born there and got all this good stuff, or that I could have been born here and been needing other people's help. And when you have a chance to see it and believe that you can do something about it, it makes a huge difference. So what's the future of polio? It'll be gone. What will happen next? Well, that's up to the Rotarians, and it will be up to them to decide where their passion is, where their future is, and how they can, through the effort of making friends with others, create lasting change across the globe, in their community, and in themselves.
So, I've probably watched this video maybe 40 times now, and I still get emotional reliving that experience. As you heard in this video, the polio virus afflicts mostly children, attacking the motor neurons that control the muscles in the body. So that if the leg muscles are attacked, the child can't walk. If the diaphragm muscles are attacked, they can't breathe on their own without the assistance of a machine like the iron lungs. And if there's no access to a machine like that because of poor health infrastructure, like in developing countries, the child dies. And then there's others like myself who had a brief encounter with the virus and escaped relatively unscathed. I was 5 years old when my dad took the family to a Lions Club picnic. And midway through the picnic, they told me they found me underneath the picnic table crying, complaining of my legs aching. So they took me home and put me to bed. And the next morning when I couldn't get out of bed, Mom called the doctor. And the doctor came and examined me. And then they left my room and went into the living room. And I remember hearing soft conversation, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. And all of a sudden, my mom lets out this huge wail and starts sobbing. I didn't know what was going on, except I was scared to death. They packed me up in the car and took me to Children's Hospital in San Francisco, which is where we were living at the time. Being, only 5, I don't remember too much of my stay, but a few things stuck in my mind. They had me in a crib by the window, and I think we were up on like the 3rd floor. And when Mom would come to visit, she would park the car under that window so I could wave to my brother and sister, because they wouldn't let them come up to the ward because they didn't know how it was contracted at the time, but they knew it affected mostly children. They treated me with a therapy that they call Sister Kenny hot packs, where they wrap my legs with steaming hot, wet woolen blankets as hot as I could stand, and then passively exercise your leg to its max range of motion. I was there for a little over 2 weeks, and on checkout day, Mom's wheeling me towards a car in a wheelchair, and the defiant 5-year-old in me says, "I don't need a wheelchair, I can walk to the car." Mom reluctantly lets me try. So I try to stand and push myself off with the armrest. And as soon as I let go of the armrest, I fall down like a sack of potatoes to the sidewalk. And again, my mom burst into tears. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. But, as time went on and I got older, my brush with the polio virus sort of faded into the background. It's not something I thought of much, except when I had to fill out a medical form for whatever reason. Medical history. It was over. It was in my past. I was a runner, a skier, and a cyclist most of my adult life and never felt restricted or handicapped in any way. But now let's fast forward a few years to after my retiring. My wife, Peggy, and I moved to Sebastopol, California, where one of my new neighbors starts inviting me to his Rotary Club meetings. At first I resisted because I wasn't ready for this weekly obligation that he was talking about. But he kept asking me, sort of like a dog chewing on my pants leg. So finally I said, okay. And I went. And you know what? I found myself liking the club and its camaraderie. And, it was being new in town. I thought, well, maybe this is a good way to meet folks. So it wasn't long before I was being given Rotary information by a couple of past presidents. They outlined my financial and attendance obligations, among other things. And then near the end of their presentation, almost as an afterthought, one of them says, hey, we're eliminating polio from the world. I said, what are you talking about? It's gone. Yeah, he says, yeah, here in the US, but not the rest of the world. I couldn't believe that I, who had polio, didn't know that. Well, you know what? That was sort of the icing on the cake. Any reluctance I had about joining the club sort of faded into the background. And I ended up becoming a member of the club. But initially I wasn't aware of any special efforts by the club as concerns polio. And in those first couple of months I was a member, and I pretty much forgot about it again. Then later during that first year, I'm attending my first district training assembly up in Ukiah. And I'm walking down a path between two breakout sessions, and I hear a voice behind me says, so how old were you when you had polio? What? I said, swinging around. How do you know I had polio? He says, I could tell by the way you're walking and swinging your leg. What's he talking about? I thought I walked normal. But I couldn't deny his observation, could I? He was right. Well, he introduced himself as Larry Myers, our district's Polio Plus chair and a fellow polio survivor. We talked for a few minutes and then parted ways because we're going to different sessions. But I saw him at the end of the day, and he asked me if I would join his committee. I said, sure, not knowing what that meant. Well, I found out a few months later when he called and asked me to fill in for him on a polio talk he was scheduled to give for a fundraiser. So I said yes, and I started doing research as preparation for the talk. And that's when I realized the scope of the fight against this disease. So, I gave the talk, and yeah, I was a little nervous, but it went pretty well. But you know what? I was hooked. I had found my passion. And I became active in everything related to Polio Plus, from giving talks like I'm doing right now to doing a 6-day bike ride fundraiser. You guys, I'm sure, remember from a couple years ago. You can see the picture behind me. And we had great fun, too, doing that. Reflecting back on my life, having contracted polio at the age of 5, recovering completely, and then forgetting about it, only to accidentally rediscover my brush with that virus by joining Rotary many years later makes me think some things in life happen that are beyond our comprehension. And I believe that this may be one of those times, my being here for this final fight against polio. You all know the tremendous progress we've made since we started this battle in 1988. As Brad said, there were 350,000 children a year, almost 1,000 per day, contracting polio in 125 countries. And we got down to only 33 cases in 2018. However, last year was admittedly disappointing because we had an increase from that 33 cases to 176 last year. Quite a dramatic increase. And this year we have 137 cases as of a week ago. And clearly there's a huge concern about this increase in the numbers compared to 2018. So what happened? Well, some of it was due to the lack of access to certain areas because of conflict. And although the governments and the majority of religious leaders in Pakistan and Afghanistan, our two remaining countries, are supporting us, there are still anti-vaxxer factions out there that are opposed to vaccines. Some still thinking that Westerners are trying to sterilize their children with these drops. And in addition, the Taliban in Afghanistan forbid any vaccinations taking place in areas they control. And then this year, COVID-19 strikes, and we're forced to pause immunization activities immunization activities altogether on March 23rd. So, we've hit huge roadblocks before. And while they are demoralizing, we've reacted accordingly and overcome those obstacles. And no doubt we will again in this situation. Like the roadblock that both Rotarians and health professionals thought would be the hardest to overcome, the elimination of the wild polio virus in India, with its 1.3 billion population, many of them living in slums and close quarters with each other. But we did it, with the last case occurring in January 2011. The next largest hurdle was the African continent. And after years of exhaustive work and persistence in the 47 countries that make up the African region, in August 2016, we're within 2 weeks and this close of declaring Africa polio free. They've required 3 years without a single case. When all of a sudden 4 cases emerge in Nigeria. Talk about demoralizing. But we reacted with a strategic plan and a massive vaccination campaign. And as a result, there have been no new cases since then. And almost 3 months ago, on August 25th, the World Health Organization officially certified the African region free of the wild polio virus. Yes! Okay, now we have one more summit to reach, and perhaps the most difficult of all, due to the political and religious strife, as well as geographic challenges. And that is, again, the combined countries of Afghanistan and Pakistan, before we can declare the world free of the wild polio virus. But now I have some good news. Immunizations have started up again in both those countries, as well as other nations, particularly in Africa. Of course, under strict COVID-19 prevention guidelines. And let me give you an example. On September 21st, Pakistan conducted a 3-day immunization day, actually 3 days, with 270,000 polio workers going door to door, much like you saw in the video, vaccinating an estimated 39 million children. Perhaps that's why I can report to you some good news. And that is that if the current trend continues, it looks like Pakistan will have less cases than they did last year. And that's perhaps because of that massive campaign in September. So we are making progress and we will win. But the truth is, we've got at the very least 3 more years to go, and most likely more, before we can claim victory over the polio virus. And this has led some folks to say, hey, after 35 years, why should we continue to support Polio Plus? Isn't 99.9% good enough? Can't we go after another disease or parasite? I got an answer for them. No, because we haven't finished the job yet. Yeah, it's true that it's taken much longer than anyone ever anticipated. But if we quit now, all of that work will be for naught. So while our frontline workers continue to do their important jobs, like you saw in the video, our job is to continue to be the advocates, keeping the awareness up and continuing to raise funds to continue this fight. For the alternative is unthinkable. To have come this far and created this unique opportunity to eliminate the disease from the face of the earth and then quit and let polio reinfect the world, I don't want to even think about it. It's not an option. We've already saved an estimated 19 million children from paralysis and another 1.5 million from death since we started this battle. So we are making a huge difference even as I speak. And we must continue when we are so close to winning. The problem is not science. They've already proven that it can be done. The problem is political and social, and that can be overcome with perseverance and tenacity. And believe me, Rotarians have lots of those qualities. It's estimated that if we stop vaccinating now, in a decade, there will be 200,000 new cases of polio every year. Because as we have seen with the COVID-19 and then last year with measles, polio is only a plane ride away. Fighting polio is expensive. This year's budget alone is $961 million to inoculate 400 million children. And as I mentioned earlier, we have to continue to raise funds to vaccinate newborns and children missed in prior campaigns for at least another 3 years before we can declare the world polio free. And towards that end, I think you are all aware of the new District 5130 Polio Plus Society that we just launched this year. You're probably familiar with the Paul Harris Society, where you can become a member by committing to donate at least $1,000 per year to the Rotary Fund. Well, the Polio Plus Society is sort of like that, except you become a member for a minimum donation of only $100. And you're pledged to continue donating at least $100 per year until the World Health Organization declares the world polio free. Of course, the Gates Foundation matches your donation 2-to-1, and you will receive your Paul Harris recognition points. Bear with me here. I'm going to do a switch here, share screen. Can you see that okay? That is the new Polio Plus Society pin. It's not quite that big. It's like only 7/8 of an inch. So you'll receive a pin like that. You'll also receive an In Polio Now wristband, like I'm wearing, and a certificate proclaiming you a member of the Polio Plus Society and your conviction to staying in the battle right to the end. I'm going to send you, after this meeting's over, via email, a copy of the flyer that describes this, and also a commitment form that you can fill out and send in. All the information's on those. The flyer describes what I call a painless way to donate. I call it Polio Plus Direct. There's a link on the flyer, and you just go right to it, and you can make a recurring donation with a credit card for only $10 per month. And you qualify for the Polio Plus Society. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't notice $10 a month on my credit card statement. Of course, there are many other combinations and ways you can donate quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, or the old-fashioned way, just write out a check made out to the Rotary Foundation, send it into your foundation chair, Dan, and put Polio Plus in the memo section. You know, as Rotarians, a lot of our work is focused on our youth, isn't it? And the following generations, the future inhabitants of our planet. And I can think of no other work that we do for the next generations, to pay it forward, if you will, that is more important than our work in eliminating polio from the face of the earth. Although we as Rotarians will most likely not directly benefit from this work, the future generations and their children, and every child born thereafter, for as long as there are humans on this planet, they will benefit from our selfless act of eliminating this virus from this planet, for mankind forever. That, my friend, is paying it forward. That is service above self. That is, as past President Ian Risley said, making a difference. Folks, thank you so much for the opportunity to update you on our fight against this disease. And I hope I've convinced you of the importance of our continuing role in this battle. So no longer will a mom have to go through that moment my mom went through. That moment that they're told their child has polio. Thank you and namaste. And I don't know what the time is, but I'm available for questions. I'll stick around later.
Bob, thank you so much. It's always warms my heart to hear your words and your courage and all the work you've done for this project. Coincidentally, in lieu of a tangible gift to our speakers, we are making small donations on your behalf to Polio Plus.
Thank you very much.
Every one of our speakers, we do that. So it's an important effort in our club. So thank you. Couple things, and Bob, you can stick around if anybody has any questions. I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank Jessica Martin, Nadya for all of her work, Chase, who I hope will be supporting through the rest of this year, the school year. Kathy King, thank you for coming to our meeting from our noon club, our sister club. And Mark, for your update on choices. I'm very excited that we can get that going. And Andy, for all your work with the Interact Club. And Jessica Martin for the lighting project, which we'll be hearing more about. I also wanted to ask anyone who hasn't, I haven't had that many people sign Colleen's book yet, and I really need that to happen. So if you're going to be in town, you can come by my house or I can meet you somewhere. I need to get her book signed by everybody. We have about another week and then she's off to her new adventure. Next week's meeting is Ryan Miller of Galora, which is an internet platform for connecting people with skills, items they make or produce that they sell or barter. So Edward will be talking more about that next week and introducing that gentleman. So anyway, if anyone has any questions for Bob, go ahead, and otherwise go about your day. Thank you everyone for joining us. I will officially end the meeting unless you have questions. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So Bob, on the district society, is there like a form you fill out? Where do you get that?
Yeah, I'm going to, as soon as I leave this, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys a P-mail through DocDB to everybody in the club, and it'll include a flyer explaining the program, and then also a commitment letter. And you just sort of fill it out and send it to me, and that's it.
Oh, Leanna has a question. She said, she asks, we inoculate children here. Let me get back. Can you see it, Bob? We inoculate children here. What is the plan going forward for kids being born in other countries?
Oh, I say that's in the chat screen.
Yeah.
Well, we're continuing. It's the world over. We're inoculating newborns. And we have to continue to do that until we have 3 years. Once the last case has been identified, we have to go another 3 years. And that includes vaccinating as many as we can. And no doubt there are pockets where we've missed children. And that's at times when you've heard that in very rare cases, like 1 in 2.3 million, doses will result in a child contracting polio. And when that happens, we have the sophistication in our labs to know exactly where that happened and react accordingly and go in with a new campaign. And we have a new vaccine. It just got, you all are now used to with the COVID-19, the emergency use license talk. We just got that 2 weeks ago for a new novel oral vaccine that does not mutate back to full strength like the current one that the Salk vaccine does. So this is exciting news. And they already, in anticipation, produced 200 million new doses. So I'm really excited about that because that will put the final cap on those circulating vaccine-derived polio cases.
Can remember us all standing in line at school getting our sugar. Wasn't it in a sugar lump?
Yeah, sugar cube.
Sugar.
Yeah, those of us with gray hair remember that.
Yeah.
I remember getting a shot.
Yeah, there was a shot too. So you're a little bit younger, Dan. So you got the Sabin shot, which I think came out 5 years later. I think the dates are nebulous.
The shot was first, the cube was second.
Was the shot the one that left all these the circle?
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. The shot was first, 1955, and then the oral vaccine, which uses a live virus, came out in 1960.
Yeah, because you had to do it more than once.
Yeah, well, because there were 3 types, and now what they say that we have to do for children is we have to, especially in these third world countries, we have to give them at least 4 doses of the oral vaccine.
Wow.
Over a period of time.
Wow.
So it's a big job, but I mean, it's amazing what we have accomplished when you stop and think about it. So we all should be very proud of what we've accomplished and what we've set up for. We helped out with the Ebola crisis, with SARS, because of our infrastructure that we've created with the cold chain worldwide and the 146 labs that we have throughout the world.
And there's labs, like I mentioned before, can break down the DNA and tell you. So let's say a child in Pakistan travels to India, and they take environmental samples, meaning they take sewage samples, and they check it, and they find in a sewage sample in India a live polio virus. They can tell by the DNA where it came from. They can tell it came from Pakistan. So then they go ahead and they start a massive campaign in India where it happened, and also in Pakistan where that child came from. So it's pretty impressive, this infrastructure that we've created.
Well, thank you for keeping us apprised of the progress.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
And Dan, it's good to see you again, sir. I still have my hat. Thank you very much. Take care, folks.
All right, everybody, have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.